Hello, fellow freelancers. Today I'm going to talk about not being a freelancer per se, but possibly with working with other freelancers, working for startups, working for other entrepreneurs, small businesses, stuff like that. And the reason I bring it up is because I know a lot of you are in that boat, and a lot of you are working freelancer part-time while you're working in a small business or something, or it's something that you're doing in tandem, or maybe you're working in a small business before you can launch your career as a freelancer, or your freelancing career is as part of a small business. It's a group of you setting up or stuff like that. Anyway, many of you whom I've talked to are in that boat. And so I thought it was something that I should be addressing. And the reason I'm bringing it up now is because I've been going through, well, I run a small business myself, obviously, but right now I'm in the process with some other people. There's a business we're starting up, we're setting up, and we've been interviewing people. And I've noticed that a lot of them in the interviews, they're following the rules that we learn, by our career counselors or in school, in college, stuff like that, of how to interview for a job. Unfortunately, all these rules are for a big job. I mean, a job in a big company, I should say. And so, there are things like, well, you have the qualifications, and as long as you fit 80 to 90% of the qualifications, you can apply for the job. And then you say and they'll be asking questions like, well, how many hours do you need me to work? Like, what do you need me to do? What are the specifications? And what do you need from me? What's next? What should I do next? And blah, 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 which are perfect questions if you're working for a big company. And in fact, my first two jobs were for very big companies, and that's how it goes. But they're not good at all when you want to work for a startup, for a small business, for other entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So let's get into it. I think the best way to illustrate this is to start with an example. And this is not the first job I applied for, but the first job offer I got after grad school. And it was for a small company. It was a small business. The person she was in Shanghai. I knew she had set up this company, and it was making DVD players. I'm dating myself here, but they were state-of-the-art DVD players. And they were very good quality. And in fact, you can probably look them up. I mean, they don't exist. The company doesn't exist anymore, but it was called Helios. Anyway, and she had a thing setting them up and manufacturing them and making them there. And then she had a person in the States helping out with sales and all that. But she needed someone to kind of spearhead that, because the person helping out in the States was doing it part-time. He was working on other stuff as well. And she needed someone to help out with the marketing in general in the US and worldwide, right? And so anyway, I talked to her and we interviewed. I was like, what exactly do you need? And she was a bit vague. And then, I was like, well, what's next? And this and that. And then anyway, I felt like it didn't go too well. And so after interviewing, I remember I was talking about it with my friend during that time. This was the summer it was after grad school. I was rooming with a friend and, looking for jobs. And I remember after having a few beers with my friend, it came out. In fact, I think it was my friend's idea, but, it became very obvious. I'm like, well, they're a startup and I keep asking what's needed. They don't know what's needed because they're a startup, and they're looking to me. If they're looking for someone to head up the marketing, then that means they're not sure what needs to be done for marketing, right? And so I kind of need to take the initiative. And that's what I did. I stayed up that night, pretty much pulled an all-nighter, with a couple more beers and maybe a coffee or two. And I came up with a whole marketing plan for her company from what I knew about the company. And I went into as much detail as I could about what I would do exactly and the next steps and the timeline and this, that, and the other. And I set up a whole marketing plan for them. And, and obviously I wrote down, I'm like, obviously I don't know the company inside out, but from what I know and from what I've heard, it seems very interesting. And this is what I do. And I sent this marketing plan, what I would do, if I were to be hired. And the next day I got a job offer. It didn't work out for other reasons, which I won't get into. But I just realized it became so obvious when I realized it. I'm like, this is a small business. They don't have all these list of qualifications or someone in HR to come up with them and try to vet people in order that they fulfill certain criteria to hire them. They're just looking for someone to do this and someone who's capable, and they're not sure how to tell if I'm capable. And the best way to show that I was capable was to actually do it. And So that's kind of a longish story to just say, if you're applying for a startup, whatever the position is, the best way to show that you can handle the stuff is not to answer their questions and not to show you fulfill the criteria, but to actually do it. And so if you're there for sales, for marketing, come up with a plan, a sales plan, marketing plan, say, this is exactly what I would do, A, B, C, D, or, whatever it might be, just tell them exactly what you would do. Obviously, you're going to have to change it because you're not inside the company and you don't know. And you can make that clear. You can say, look, obviously, you guys know better of the inside of the company or what you've been going through so far. But based on the information I have, this is what I would do. I'm happy to talk about it with you guys and tweak it and change it and whatnot. And this is so much more effective than trying to make sure you fulfill certain criteria, say that you're interested, having a firm handshake or whatever you're taught by your career counselor, With these startups, they really don't have time to do that. And so really just show them that you can do the job. And the best way to show them that you can do the job is to do the job itself. Even if it's based on incomplete information, just do it. That's your best bet to me. And I really think it really puts you miles ahead, especially if other people are applying for the job and they're just following certain criteria and just waiting for a callback and all that. It really shows the initiative and shows that you can handle what needs to be handled, that you've understood the job and that you can do what needs to be done. And it's so much more effective. So when you're working for startups and small companies, small businesses, really that's the way to go about it. Forget what you've learned about showing that you're a good, well-rounded person and that you can play the politics and you can do this, that, and the other, and you're positive and you can come up with 3 weaknesses and 3 different types of strengths and what have you. No, just do the business at hand. Show them that you can do the business and it'll be that much better for you. That's pretty much my advice, but I think it's very effective. And the few times that I've seen people actually do that, I think literally every time I've seen someone do that, they got the job offer because it just saves so much time. And it really, the people you're interviewing with are really thankful about that because it kind of makes their life so much easier. They're like, oh, great. We have a marketing plan plus a person who can handle it. Our job is done. We don't need to worry about hiring this person. We got it. That's why I really highly recommend doing that. And I know I've had quite a few of you who are working for startups, or you're looking to work at startups and small businesses while you're building up your freelance translation career. And so I really think this helps. By the way, I'm going to be having another video soon about how long it takes to become a freelance translator. So if this is the boat that you're in and you're wondering about your career, we'll be discussing that soon. But for now, I just wanted to give this advice for when you're applying for a startup or a small business. And I really hope it helps. And feel free to let me know if you have any other tips for working for a small business. But I really think that showing you can do doing the actual job, cutting through the red tape, I really think it's very helpful, and it really ups your chances of being hired. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to discuss with you today. And like I said, we have a number of other new videos coming up some interesting things I want to talk about, including, I mentioned before, there's an interview that should be coming up as I'm recording this. We're planning when we're going to do it, where I'm interviewing somebody who discusses CAT tools, because I know that's another thing that there's quite a few of you have questions about, and I don't feel I'm very qualified to discuss that at length or in depth. And so I'm going to be talking to someone who can and who does and who will. And so that should be very interesting. And otherwise, and if you click on the bell below, you'll be notified when there's a new video. So you'll be including that one. So you don't have to come here and check for new videos. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I'll talk to you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye. Savedum.